So it doesn't suit our purposes. Now let me show you what a reading task on this site looks like. Let me take one of these. Now, Descartes was wrong. A person is a person through other persons. Now, those of you who've done philosophy will remember that Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore I am." He meant that we are individuals on our own without other people. So this text is going to argue the opposite. All right? You choose philosophy if you're interested in philosophy, of course. This is just a random example. So the first thing we have to do is to remind you of Descartes' philosophy, then introduce you to the two thinkers who disagree, who are going to be discussed in the text. We always do some preparation before we start. That preparation is in the form of listening. So we're going to consciously pull listening into everything we do. We did it with our writing. We had videos. We watched, we listened to, we take notes. Here also, you watch the videos, you take notes. By doing this, you have done listening tasks. Now, one little aside. The purpose in a listening exam is to prove to us that you have understood what you listened to. We can't use MRI scans. Impossible. In a reading task, we want you to prove to us that you've understood what you read. That is why we ask questions. So questions are just a tool that we use. The purpose is understanding, all right, checking comprehension. So, when you watch a video and take notes, you're doing the same thing you would be doing if you were answering questions, only you are using a different tool, all right? Same thing with reading. Making notes from a reading text is just as good as answering questions, if you take notes properly, all right? Again, the questions are a tool. Purpose, to understand the text. So what you've got here is you've got 3 videos. You've got the philosophy of Descartes. This is a simple video. It's not a 2-hour lecture. You've got you've got 2 other videos on describing the philosophy of the people who oppose this. Hubert Herman and Ubuntu, who's an African thinker. The next thing you do is to access the text, and if it comes from this wonderful site, Eon, you have another advantage. Do you see that icon on the left? Listen here. Now, what I want you to do first, then, is to access the text, get a printout, then click that icon there. Listen to somebody reading the text out loud to you. It's not Google Translate, it's a real human being. So there'll be proper intonation, there'll be punctuation, there'll be everything. You'll be reading like a human being. Underline main ideas, topic sentences, important details. Make little notes for yourself. When you've done that, then it's time to attack the reading task. Now, you've got the questions down here. You've got every type of question imaginable. When I write questions, I try to make sure that we are testing all the cognitive skills we need to test. But I can do this in different ways. For example, if I want you to see if you can summarize, I can ask you to give a section a subtitle. If you can give it a subtitle, you can summarize. I might give you 4 sentences and ask you to decide which one best summarizes the section. There are all kinds of ways, all right, to do this. At the end of the reading task, go back and look at the questions that you skipped. Don't look at the answer key. First, give yourself a second chance with the questions you skipped. You've understood the writer's message. Maybe at the end, those questions will look easier. Then you check your answers. If, when you have checked your answers, you understand any problems that you see, fine, you learn from them. If, when you've looked at the answer key, you still don't understand where you went wrong, you come to me or my teaching assistants. Now, you can go to your teachers as well, but it'll be quicker if you come to me, because I have an eidetic memory, which means I remember what I read. I'll be faster off the block. Your teacher will have to sit down and read the passage, then look at the question. It'll take her twice as much as long as it'll take me, all right? So bring it to the assistants, even if it's one question. If there's a problem, let's solve it. Then you've got a writing task. Now this is absolutely crucial, because it isn't only a writing task. It is a reading task and it is a listening task. We're going to bring everything together. You reproduce everything we've learned in this section. It's your brainwashing bit, if you like. If you want to remember, you've got to write afterwards. All right? This is why writing often comes near the end of the day, when everything else has been done, so that to settle everything. So this is your intensive reading. Now, there are various sections of the blog which I'm going to leave you to discover. Let us look at some useful websites. I'm continually adding to this. Now, the first group of websites are grammar lessons. These are not exercises. They're videos which explain these structures. If you have a problem with a certain grammar point, combine it with listening. Now here we've got another selection of links. The first link is for short stories and novels. Now, this is your extensive reading. Extensive reading means there are no questions, the texts are longer, there are no time limits. Why do we do it? Because we have to revise. Otherwise, we forget. Very, very important. These two activities, the structured and the unstructured, need to go parallel to each other at all times. Do you need to use these sites? Not necessarily. You can use the library. All right, you can buy the books. Of course you can. But you have a source like this as well. All right. The next section is the audiobooks. Remember, we said that your listening there was a structured section and an unstructured section. This is unstructured listening again. Audiobooks are books which are read out loud to you. Now, these are sites I use all the time. When I'm doing automatic work that doesn't require thinking or concentration. When I'm commuting, all right? At night, when I go to bed for 10 or 15 minutes, I always have a novel or something on the go. Make this a part of your lives. Because our purpose is not just to pass the proficiency. You'll pass the proficiency. I'm not worried about that at all. What I'm worried about is what's going to happen after you pass the proficiency. There's a whole summer of forgetting time. The quality of English isn't as good as you might imagine in every department. The teachers in the various departments don't take a TOEFL exam to teach here. All right, we take their word for it. So, you don't know what you're going to be up against. When you enter the job market, you're going to be talking and dealing with Turkish all day. How are you going to preserve your English? Form some habits and maintain them. Now let me show you one of these sites. This first site was prepared, it's for people who are visually impaired. It's the reading is done by volunteers. All right. There are lots and lots of books here. Let me show you one of them. Now, this is a novel which some of you might have read. Have you read The Count of Monte Cristo? No? You have. Well, it's the sort of book you need to read in your early 20s. All right? It's historical, it's exciting, and it's romantic. All right? Now, you've got all sorts of listening options here. I use an MP3 player, but let me just give you a sneak preview.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, please visit LibriVox.org. The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Chapter 2, Father and Son, as read by Gordon Mackenzie. We will leave Danglars struggling with the demon of hatred and endeavoring to insinuate in the ear of the shipowner some evil suspicion.
You see what I mean? He will read the whole book out loud. Now, you might find the accents of some of the readers harder, in which case, move on to another book. Every book is read by somebody else. Now, this is the simplified version. But they are adult books. This is not for children. You've got Stephen King, you've got Agatha Christie, John Cheever, Jeffrey Archer, all the famous writers of bestsellers. Now, at your level, I think you should go for the normal speed.
There are some things that never grow old. The brilliant autumn foliage that blankets the rolling hills of Ohio's Amish country is one of them. It's mid-October, and the northeastern part of the state is a shimmering collage of orange, rust, and red. I've driven this road countless times in the years I've lived here, but I know...
Now, make it a habit to have something on the go at all times. Another area of unstructured listening is documentaries. Documentaries we recommend more than television series because the language is academic, because the purpose is to give a message, and therefore the speaker will talk like I'm talking now. He won't go rattling on like a machine gun, all right? Because he wants to get his message across and be understood. This suits our purposes. Now let me show you a documentary site that I'm very fond of. There we go. Look at all the categories you have here. All right, there are lots of videos under all those titles. Let's look at this new edition. All right, underneath you've got information about the video. You can install subtitles.
Trying to put together a plan of getting away with murder. And I was going to kill my brother. I knew that every Sunday I'd jump on his bike and he'd head down the road to join up with some other fellas. And he loved that bike.
Now,
He used to tell me, you ever touch my bike, I'll kill you.
there are lots of videos here. But unstructured listening is not the only thing. You've got to do some structured work as well. You do structured work when you're watching videos for your writing, when you're watching videos for your reading, but you also need practice with questions. This next category of videos all have questions, so do those as well. You can do TOEFL or IELTS listening tasks as well. Remember, it's not the type of question that's important. It is what the question is doing for you, all right? These sites won't help you at this stage, but this will. Now, I discovered this site quite by coincidence. It is a wonderful site where you can find famous speeches by historical figures, political leaders, movie characters, etc., etc. It's wonderful. Now, because it's a speech, they're speeches, again, the purpose is to give a message, to get the message across, to be understood and accepted, all right? So they will talk like I'm talking now. There will be pauses in between sentences. There'll be repetitions, paraphrasing. There'll be summarizing at the ends of sections. There will also be tape scripts. Now, let me show you what I mean. Now, let's go to these movie speeches, for example. Let's find a speech by one of my favorite leaders, Mahatma Gandhi. Now, did you see the film Gandhi? Haven't you? Well, you've got it to look forward to. Now, the tape script is below. Don't look at it. What you need to do is to watch, listen and take notes. The subtitles are on, but you can switch them off. Oh, sorry. Oh, God. I can bring my own laptop next time I come.
Every one of you. We have no secrets. Let us begin by being clear about General Smuts' new law. All Indians must now be fingerprinted, like criminals, men and women. No marriage other than a Christian marriage is considered valid. Under this act, our wives and mothers are whores, and every man here is a bastard.
He was a brilliant speaker.
He has become quite good at this.
Now, this is easily note-taking pace. You take notes, compare your notes with the tape script. Okay? You don't need to have questions. You will find there, in that section, speeches by famous political leaders too. Not all of them. You find a whole section on Obama, for example. Now, I was surprised when I saw that, because you get all these general categories, and then you get something very specific, like Obama. The reason is that he is a lawyer, a barrister. The barristers are the ones which wear the wigs and the black cloaks and go to court. So he's used to talking in court. What does he do? There's a jury sitting opposite him. He wants the jury to understand. He wants the jury to agree. So what does he do? He says something once. He waits a little bit so that he can sink in with the jury. Then he repeats it again. When he gets to the end of the speech, he summarizes the whole thing. This is wonderful for us. You can take notes to your heart's content. Now, you can check the rest out, these bits out yourself. These are academic lectures, sites you probably know, TED and the Royal Society of Arts. The Royal Society of Arts, by the way, is not about arts. You would think with a name like that it would be all about art. It isn't. It's about politics. All right? Politics and economics. I have no idea why they have that name. You've also got the link to the BBC radio app. Now listen to foreign news. Make it a habit. All right? In the mornings while you're having breakfast, on the way to school. All right? When you're on your own, sit down and listen to a news broadcast every day. Make all of these little habits. Habit is good when we're language learning because we want repetition in order to remember. Remember? That's how our minds work. These are grammar sites. They are English lessons. I'll show you one of them. This is Ingvid. There you are.
Hi, James from Ingvid. That's a mighty nice year. Today I want to teach a lesson on listening skills. About a year ago I did a lesson on listening skills, and I promised in that one to give you a system that you could use to improve at home. And then I decided I wanted to make it
there are
better
lots
than that.
and
I want you to get
lots.
instant skills. So today's lesson?
Listen to as many as you like. If you have a problem with grammar, come here, not to Azar. Azar's fine, but this makes a difference.
I have a pen on me. I've got my keys on me.
Have a look at the present continuous.
In this video, I'll show you how to form the present perfect continuous tense.
You see the quality of the English? Very easy to understand. So, use your heads. You're learning English in a foreign country, Turkey. You don't hear English around you. Draw listening into your learning as much as you can. Now, these videos won't help you at this stage. This is a wonderful site for free reading. Science for Students. Now, the good thing about this site is, I'll show you, we scroll down, you've got all the vocabulary in English. Wonderful for extra reading. Some of them also have questions, but there's no answer key. These are a little too easy for your level now. Magazines and newspapers we recommend. Again, have something you read regularly. I have an email address where I only get daily emails from magazines and newspapers. How do you think I find all this material? It lands in my inbox and I scan it, all right? It's a wonderful way to keep up with what's happening in the world. These are vocabulary exercises. Shall we have a go and see how good you are? Now then. Now, of course, you can choose quizzes. RIP. Do you know this word? There we are. Constrain. Good. You've got 400 points. Riot. Very good. You see what I mean? It's like Tetris. Once you start, you can't stop. I find these endlessly fun. I do the advanced ones when I'm bored. Now the next thing is how to summarize and how to make notes from a reading text. Now in Europe and America, students learn how to make notes on a reading text very early in their lives. At our schools, we don't believe in this. But suddenly you arrive at university and you're expected to make notes on a reading text. So I've got a couple of learning videos there. If you've never done it before properly, watch the learning videos first so you do it properly and it's beneficial to you. Now, this last section is all about online universities and university courses. Now, I saw Coursera up there, so does that mean they know about Coursera?
Yeah, in a way.
Let me show you something you don't know, or you might not know. Now, this is Udacity. Udacity is an online university. It's completely online and it gives you degrees in these areas. There we are. Isn't that wonderful? Now it's a very humanitarian project. It's very egalitarian. And you get students from all over the world. And it's free for now. All right? Now, what's to stop you getting an extra degree? Some of these are 2-year courses. Some of them are 1-year courses. Some of them are 3-year courses. All right? But you can spread it out. A 1-year course doesn't have to be completed in 1 year. Do it in 2 years, who cares? But you can get your certificate. And it's perfectly acceptable. Just like edX and Coursera, whose certificates are acceptable worldwide. Some universities don't need you to take a certain course, but do not have the teachers for that course that term. They can't offer it. What do? They say, go and take it on Coursera, bring us the certificate. Soon, the same thing will be valid here. This kind of thing is progressing very fast. Get the extra certificates, put them on your CVs. For our purposes, you can take courses from your departments for next year, now, throughout the summer, prepare for next year, or you're in a certain department, but ideally, you would like to have studied, I don't know, anthropology. For example, in an ideal world, you can take those courses here for your own pleasure, all right? But it's listening, it's reading, it's writing, because I want you to participate with Google Hangout actively, not from videos afterwards. Put your headphones on, have your mic switched on, and join in. You can ask the teacher questions. If you think of something later, you can put it on the message board. The teacher will get back to you. He'll give you homework. He'll give you a little quiz at the end of each lesson. You'll get homework, you'll get midterms, and you'll get a final exam too, with a program called Quizlet, which they explain. Okay? And then you pay $100 or so, and you get your certificate. Nice? So really, there is no excuse. Your teachers and I are here to help you learn. But you're doing the learning. I've just spoken to you about certain other possibilities you might not have known about. All right? But the ball is firmly in your court. Okay? Do you have anything to ask me? Now, can you think of anything you want to ask me about all of this? Or anything else? Not at the moment. When you know where I am, I'm in the other building on the ground floor. Come and see me. Now, would you like me to send the students the corrected essays from previous years?
Of course.
Yeah. Now, if one of you come and see me, I'll give you about 1,000 corrected essays. All right? Online, soft copies, of course. Okay, for you to look at. Anything you want to say? Sure?
Thank you
Don't
very much.
mention it.
Thank
Don't
you
mention
very
it. It's a
much.
pleasure. I shall look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you very much.
Don't mention it. It's a pleasure.